Dear students, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to our new video. Today we are going to have a new reading selection from Unit 5, Week 2. The title of our selection is The Day the Rollies Got Their Moxie Back. Before we start discussing our selection, we should know some points about the new genre that we have, which is historical fiction. The features, main events, and setting of historical fiction are real. This means the time and the place that the story is happening is real. In our story, if we have a look at page 325, we can see it was 1937. Also down here, back in our New York City apartment, these two pieces here are telling us that the story is happening in 1937 and it is also happening in New York City. So as we said, the setting is real. But the characters are made up, but they are believable. The characters that we have in our selection, like Shirley, Ruth, and their parents, are made up, not true people, but still they are believable. We can meet them in our regular daily life. About the title, Moxie, as we said, the title is saying The Day the Rollies Got Their Moxie Back. Moxie means high spirits or energy. They were upset and then they felt better. As we already discussed the first part of the historical fiction and we said the setting is real, there is a video we should watch it before we start reading the story. Let's see the video.
Better together. How do shared experiences help people adapt to change? During the Great Depression of the 1930s, people in the United States had to work together to get through very hard times. Many people found themselves without jobs, homes, or food. The government created the Civilian Conservation Corps to help. The Corps put millions of men back to work restoring the nation's parks. These shared experiences helped restore pride and prosperity, brought people together, and made the United States stronger.
Dear students, as we heard in the video, during the time of the Great Depression, many people lost their houses and their jobs. That's why here in our story we can find the father of the girls is always upset, sullen, as we are going to read next. So he was upset because he lost his job and he cannot have enough money uh, to pay for the things that maybe his girls or his wife would need. Before we continue with the presentation, please go to the Windigo and download the audio tracks and listen to the story carefully while you are just following with your eyes. Just look at the book, don't try to read, just listen carefully to the story. After you hear the story, maybe one time, two times, whatever, till you get familiar with the new words. Then you can start reading the story aloud or just to read it without listening to the audio tracks, so you check if you understand the story or no. Please read the story carefully and then continue with the video. The Day the Rollies Got Their Moxie Back is Shirley, the narrator, Ruth, mom and dad. Here, our story starts by the narrator telling us about a letter she received from her brother Ricky, and then she describes uh, the new place her brother Ricky is working. Then she goes to explain or to tell us another part about her family and the way she is talking to her sister Ruth. She told her about the new job her brother Ricky is talking about and the way he is spending his free time there. He told them that he had a talent show and he wore a grass skirt and did a hula dance. That inspired them to make their own show. So they started learning or they practiced a kind of a Hawaiian dance. After that, the girl, Shirley, keeps describing their place and the way they lived during the Great Depression. Her father, most of the time, is sullen and spent. He is upset and he's not paying attention to whatever they are talking about around him. Till one day, her father decided to go to the kitchen, a place he can find or he can hear about opportunities of any available job. There, while they were waiting outside, because the line was moving very slowly and they got bored, Ruth began practicing her dance. And then, gradually, while she was dancing, and her sister, as it is written here, she sang an upbeat tune to give her some music, to give her sister some music. The people around them got excited and they really liked the show. That's why we are talking here about they got their moxie back. They felt better when their show was admired. Even here, she described her father that he bowed his head as if in shame, and later she said that declared his head held high. He was so proud that the people are excited or because of the show or the people liked the show that was performed by his daughters. The main points we are going to discuss now: the genre, the comprehension strategy, the comprehension skill, and the vocabulary strategy. The first point, the genre, we already said historical fiction. Let's hear this part from the book. Page 330.
Historical fiction. The selection, The Day the Rolles Got Their Moxie Back, is historical fiction. Historical fiction features events and settings typical of the time period in which the story is set. Includes characters who act like and speak the dialect of people from a particular place in the past.
The first point here, we already mentioned it in the beginning, that the setting is real. It is typical of a time period in which the story is set. The story is happening during this time. We already said it is happening in 1937 during the Great Depression. And we can discover this here in this part. The year, he mentioned 1937, and President Roosevelt was real. He was the president during this time. The other point includes characters who act like and speak the dialect of people from a particular place in. The people here in our story are using a dialect related to that period 1937. Some expressions, some idioms that we don't use them anymore. Here, the 2 points that we have about the historical fiction, that the setting is real, but the characters are made up and they usually speak or act in a way that matches that period or that time of the story. Then the comprehension strategy, which is making predictions. While we read the story, if it is interesting enough for us, we will start asking, what will happen next? At least we will start guessing without asking. Maybe we think about the hero and what is going to happen next, or he is going to do what for the next step. So, as you read about the girl's reaction to the letters from their brother, they were excited in the beginning and they were discussing the new talent show that he had. What did you predict might happen next after they discussed his talent show? Did anyone think about they will start doing the same or no? Also, as you read about the father's feelings towards going to the local soup kitchen, we already said he was upset and said he didn't like to go to that place. What did you predict might happen next? If you are going to a place and you don't like to be there, what will happen next? Then the comprehension skill. Okay, in this part, we are going to hear the compare and contrast part from the reading book, and then we will discuss the page that we have from the Your Turn practice book, page 212. Let's go first to the reading book. For the compare and contrast part, let's hear it.
Compare and contrast. The characters in a story may be similar to or different from one another in their traits, actions, and responses to events.
The first part here about the characters and their traits, their characteristics, the way we can describe them, if they are cheerful, if they are sad, if they are helpful, if they are friendly, and the way they respond, the way they react to any event during the story. For example, in our story, while they were waiting outside the local soup kitchen, the father was trying to hide his head in shame, but then the girls reacted in a different way. They started dancing. Okay? When we compare or contrast the characters in that way, as it is mentioned here,
you compare and contrast characters to help you better understand how their personalities and actions affect events, or are changed by events.
As we can see, the way the father reacted wasn't helpful. He just waited as others. But the way the girls reacted to that event by started practicing their dance changed everything. Instead of waiting bored, everyone was excited and everyone got happy to watch the performance.
Find text evidence. When I reread the dinner scene on page 326 of The Day the Rolets Got Their Moxie Back, I can use text details to compare each family member's different responses to their difficult situation.
Here he is discussing or explaining an example from page 326 about the way they felt during the dinner. The event here is dinner at the Rollies. He mentioned the feeling of the mother and the way she reacted. Also, the father, Ruth, and Shirley. About the mother, she sings. She tries to make the best of the things. She tried to make it easier for them, while the father stayed sullen and shakes his head in a negative way, and he was tired. About the kids, Ruth excited and dreaming of the show. She was thinking about their own talent show. And Shirley was quiet yet excited, dreaming also of their show. Then he asked us in the your turn 212 to do the same way but about the feelings of the characters outside the soup kitchen. At the start of the scene, how do their feelings change by the story ends? So we need to compare and contrast the feelings at the beginning or at the start of the scene and by the story ends. Let's have a look. The main event, waiting outside the local soup kitchen. About Ruth, at first she was bored. If we look here, bored, Ruth began practicing her dance steps. That was the first feeling she had. By the end, twirled and swayed happily. This is also shown here. Ruth twirled and swayed like there was no tomorrow. After that, Shirley, at first quiet. Here, most everyone in line was bundled up against the cold. They were just standing, not moving because they felt cold. After that, by the end, excited and cheerful. After the girl performed their show, they got so happy that people around them liked their performance. Here, she said what? For those short moments, the past didn't matter, and the future blossomed ahead of us like a beautiful flower. So she was feeling bad, and then she felt better. She became more cheerful. Dad, at first ashamed, we mentioned this part here before, his head as if in shame, and by the end, proud, as we said, his head held high. Then the folks, the people, the crowd or the audience, at first upset and lazy, here slowly the line moved slowly. By the end, smiling and happy, of course, because of the show or the performance the girl gave during waiting outside the local soup kitchen. After that, the vocabulary strategy about the idioms. Let's hear it. We have it on page 331.
Idioms. An idiom is an expression that cannot be defined by the words in it. Surrounding words and sentences can offer context clues to help you understand the meaning of an idiom.
So, as we can see here, it is an expression that cannot be defined by the words in it. You cannot get the meaning, the exact meaning of the idiom from the words by just reading them. No, the words, they look to have a meaning, but we mean something else. How to find the other meaning or the correct meaning? From the surrounding words and sentences around that expression. Here, for example, sometimes the thing that gets you through hard times comes like a bolt from the blue. A bolt from the blue means a lightning from the sky. Here, of course, we don't talk about a real bolt that will come towards them. No, we mean, as you can see here, when I think of a bolt, I think of lightning and how quickly and unpredictably it can strike. This means it can happen fast and without any warnings. Okay? So, here, of course, we don't mean the real lightning from the sky, but we mean the speed of the actions. We have some idioms.
Your turn. Use context clues to explain the meanings of the following idioms from How the Rolets Got Their Moxie Back. The Cat's Pajamas, page 325. Get the Green Light, page 326. Grin and Bear It, page 326. Like There Was No Tomorrow, page 327. Your turn. Use context clues.
The first idiom is the cat's pajamas. If we go back to the book, page 325, here, the girls were discussing the talent show that Ricky had, Ricky, their brother. And he wore a grass skirt and did a hula dance while playing the ukulele. Ruth reported with delight, "I'll bet he was the cat's pajamas." Here, of course, they already said the show was about a hula dance, so it's not about a real cat. But the real meaning of this part here, that he was amazing. He did it in a very good way. An excellent person. After that, the other one, get the green light. I think this one, we know it already from the game, especially races. Green light means to start something. The actions. Here, the sketched posters for shows that did get the green light. The girl, Shirley, means what? That her father worked for the movies that were allowed to start, to work. After that, as we said, got permission to start. Grin and bear it. Grin and bear it, down here. One Saturday, my father decided to grin and bear it and grab some hot coffee at the local soup kitchen. Of course, the meaning here is kind of obvious because the part here, to grin, to smile, and Barrett to do something that he doesn't like to do. To accept something that one doesn't like because there is no choice. The last one, there is no tomorrow. Ruth twirled and swayed like there was no tomorrow. As we started this scene or this part, people, the father and also the girls, were just waiting outside. The line moved slowly, everyone was sad, and then when they danced or when they performed the show, and after one got excited, the girl felt like there was no tomorrow, which is without any thought about future. Here everyone got happy and forgot about his problem. That was the end, and I hope you understood all the points that we discussed. If you have any question, you can write it as a post on WinGo, or you can send it to me on Microsoft Teams. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.